Have bass stopped hitting the bait you're throwing? You ready to run the guns? Time for blast off. Let's go. Hey guys, Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. Truck talk wisdom that means bupkis. Is it the fishing pressure or the lures? That's a good question. Fishing pressure or lures? Look at the sales of baits throughout history and when they go out, when they come in. You know, the latest, greatest bait, this, that, and the other. Take, for instance, the one of the latest to take off and really just blow up, and apparently nobody's catching them anymore, is the Whopper Plopper. I almost said Whopper Stopper. But the Whopper Plopper. And there's a lot of other companies that have made copies of that bait. Or other versions of that bait, put it that way. But man, when that thing come out, boom, man, everybody was catching fish on them. I ain't never catch cold on a thing. I don't throw them. But, I mean, and overnight, everybody's like, I don't catch them on that like I used to. Would that be the lure? Or the fishing pressure? I think here, I think a lot of people are going to have issues down the road with bass being more wary of baits. And I say that because of the video games. You know, it's one thing for a 2D sonar to make noise as it shoots its visual down, or its radar, however you want to call it. But with the extra electronics that everybody's putting on these boats and everything nowadays and everything else, that's creating a lot of noise, a lot of signals underwater that bass aren't used to. And it's interesting that some of the reports I've read from like conservationists, game and fish commissions, things like that, that they are being affected. Whether it's good or bad, who knows, but it's causing bass to move to places that they normally don't go. That has been documented. So it's interesting, if you've got everybody throwing the same bait, and the bass all of a sudden become wary of it, quit hitting it, is that the bait? Or is it the fishing pressure? Because I'm going to tell you right now, no two people throw the same bait the same way. I mean, we're talking line diameters versus reel speeds versus somebody's cranking speed versus rod movements. I mean, anything can affect how a bait works. And no two people are alike. I mean, how many of you guys have fishing buddies that you fish with all the time, and you both are throwing the same bait, but yeah, one guy catches all the fish, or one guy catches more fish than the other guy does? Why? His work is a bit different. Even if he tells the guy what he's doing, and you got to do this, you got to do that. I've seen it. Or even when you're fishing tournaments with people, you know, people you never fished with before. You know, if you draw somebody you never fished with before, and y'all start throwing the same bait because somebody's starting to catch them on it, and yet one guy still catches a majority of them. That happens a lot. Is that the bait or the pressure? And I realize that, you know, lakes are getting pressured, especially your major lakes that get 20 tournaments a week and stuff like that. That's fishing pressure. The lake I grew up on, it used to have tournaments left and right back when there were clubs. Not just paper clubs, but when there were actual clubs. And yeah, there was tournaments, several tournaments there on the weekends. Summertime, I don't know how many night tournaments in a row there was from all these different clubs. And it got to where it got a little hard to catch bass. But if everybody's throwing the same plug, that's one thing. But you know for a fact that we weren't all throwing the same plug or even the same bait. So that was fishing pressure. But does that mean that the baits that we were throwing, if we weren't catching bass, that they didn't catch bass on them anymore? I doubt that. I'm not a believer in a bait is not as good as it used to be. Because I know firsthand, even though I've never asked a bass, I guarantee you firsthand they don't read catalogs and they don't go online looking at stuff on Tackle Warehouse. I guarantee you. Now, there are some baits that are known just to not be that good. And those are the ones that don't last long. And they literally just disappear. They just become collector's items. I get that. But baits that had a heyday at one time and all of a sudden just disappear, or colors that was heyday at one time on a specific bait line and disappears. Why does that happen? I mean, I've been hearing from guys, and I've also noticed online as well, motor oil has almost disappeared from soft plastic colors. Only just a handful of companies are still making it. That blows your mind. Like, motor oil? Seriously? Man, back in the 80s, that's all we threw. So that's interesting. Why is motor oil disappearing? Who knew? Apparently not too many people are buying it. So I don't know. I saw that's my little rant. You know, is it the baits or is it the pressure? Personally, I think it's the pressure. I really do. I think it's the pressure. It's not the baits. Because these baits that, I mean, perfect example, I got a buddy of mine that still throws the whopper plopper and he catches the crap out of them. So if if that bait doesn't catch him anymore, why is he catching bass? See what I mean? So I don't know. I'm the proponent that, or I'm the guy that says it's fishing pressure, but that's just my opinion. I mean, and I'm just going by personal experience, you know, and what I see, what I read, who I talk to, everything else. That's just how I look at it. Fishing pressure. But what do you guys think? Have y'all ever thought about that? I mean, how many baits have you thrown to the wayside because it doesn't catch fish anymore? Or a color because it doesn't catch fish anymore? How many of you guys have done that? So that's all I got to say about that. With my infinite wisdom, that means bupkis. So anyway, until next time, guys. New techniques are trendy, but bass never change. May the Father bless you and keep in Yeshua's name, and as always, fish on.